Comic Boom.
Hey guys, Comic Boom here to review Justice League issue 26. This is great, guys. This issue is great. We finally meet the other inhabitants of the DC Multiverse. And it really looks like Snyder is embracing full Grant Morrison here, which is fantastic because, I got my Multiversity hardcover here, which is fantastic, where I can look at the various inhabitants and the superheroes of the various 52 Earths. I wasn't sure if we had a multiverse, if it was more than just 52 worlds in our multiverse, or it was more. But there's no doubt now that since we have the Hall of Heroes in this issue with Harbinger, with the holographic image of the Harbinger introducing newcomers to the Hall of Heroes, and seeing all the various heroes of the multiverse and the different flashes and the different versions of Superman, it's just amazing. And now Scott Snyder technically didn't write this one. James Tynion IV wrote this issue, and I believe it's Javier Fernandez is the artist. Hi-Fi did the colors, Tom Napolitano did the letters, and Francis Manapul did the cover. This is really good stuff. I'm going to say this right off the bat, that if you're sort of a newcomer to the Justice League and a newcomer to the DC Universe, maybe you'll find the whole embracing of Morrison's Multiversity, embracing of the multiverse, maybe you'll find that a little bit too high concept, or maybe a little bit, dare I say, inaccessible. But I think you'll have fun with it. I certainly have fun with it. The bias I have that I really like it is because I'm a longtime DC fan, so I don't find any of it confusing. Some people might have talked to a few people in my local comic shop that find it maybe a little bit high concept, maybe a little bit more than they are ready to fully embrace. But they do think it's pretty cool. And just getting into the story here, issue 25 ended with Superman finally escaping essentially the dark void that he was in, and they were defeating the heroes of the sixth dimension. The Justice League defeated their future selves of the sixth dimension, and Superman gave that whopping punch to the World Forger and ended up recruiting the World Forger to his side. So even though the World Forger and even Batman believe that probably the best way to defeat Doom, which is embodied by Lex Luthor essentially being killed and reborn through the power of Perpetua, that essentially, even though that the only way to defeat Doom might have been to have the World Forger essentially destroy this universe and create a new one, the fact is that they're relying on Superman, the Superman of Earth Zero, that prime Earth Zero Superman, with Earth designate Zero, Metaverse Superman, to be the one to provide hope to the multiverse. Now, in order for the World Forger to fully put their plan into motion to basically save the multiverse from Doom itself, he needs to find his brothers, the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor. And that's basically why they're at the Hall of Heroes, and they're trying to recruit all the heroes of the multiverse to help them find the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor. Now, why? What is it that the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor can do to help the World Forger save the multiverse? Well, we're not really sure. That wasn't made clear. This issue was essentially a fun issue where Fernandez's art, he did a really good job on the art here. This is a series. This is an opening part one. It's called Apex Predator, and the Apex Predator refers to Lex Luthor, who basically died and has come back as sort of a hooded figure who prior to his death sold off all his massive financial resources, and as the Apex Predator, Lex Luthor, he is utilizing his power to basically power up all the villains and to facilitate the furtherance of Doom on the planet. And he's basically, there's a legend occurring, or there's a rumor of a caped or a hooded man appearing randomly all over the globe, offering different powers and different resources to various villains, in order to have them basically embrace their darkest side and their darkest desires and move toward Doom under some guise of trying to save it. And presumably in pursuance of what I imagine is also Perpetua's goal as well. Now, we haven't really seen a conversation between Perpetua and Lex Luthor yet, but I expect that we're going to probably see that in future issues. But in the meantime, understand that the Justice League, they've returned by the sixth dimension. They've returned from the sixth dimension only to discover that Lex Luthor has basically essentially died and come back as this person who's recruiting different people, powering them up to fight on the forces of doom. The Justice League then now has to basically recruit as many members, superheroes into the Justice League as possible on a massive worldwide effort in order to save the world from doom. But it's not just the world they need to save, but the entire multiverse, and that is why they are at the Hall of Heroes, which is basically located, I believe, somewhere in the bleed of the multiverse, where all the heroes of the multiverse of the various 52 Earths basically show up to hear Superman make a plea saying, "Look, we need your help. This is a multiversal threat. We need your help." And I did up, there's a fantastic double-page spread here where it shows all of the heroes. It's just fantastic. It's gorgeous. I'll put this full scene up on edit. I actually went through Multiversity, and I would recommend anybody who doesn't have Grant Morrison's Multiversity to pick it up. You can pick it up in hardcover or softcover form. If you can't do that, then you can Google it. Google Multiversity, and then what's going to happen if you Google it? You'll have a lot of fun going through and identifying the various heroes of the different Earths and how they're different. And you can basically I identified a whole bunch on this particular page, and everything from Earth 30, Earth 31 to Earth 19 to Earth 26, everything from Captain Carrot and his amazing zoo crew to the Red Sun Superman to, oh good lord, to Captain Alan Adam on Earth 4. You've got Earth 2. You got the Crime Syndicate in Earth 3, although I didn't see the Crime Syndicate in the issue. You got Shazam and the Shazam family of Earth 5. Some of these don't even have names. There's the Thunderers and the sort of like the Marvel-like heroes of Earth 7. You have the Studmaster big baby genius of Earth 8. You've got crazy. You've got the Freedom Fighters of Earth X, Earth 10. Although I never saw them on in the Hall of Heroes. But all these heroes are presumably there. The Superwoman, I believe, from Earth 11 was on that splash page. The Batman Beyond, the future versions of Earth 0, Earth 12 are there. The sort of like the horror-like heroes of the League of Shadows, led by the Super Demon of Earth 13, is there as well. There's a whole slew of others. There's also the Justice Riders of Earth 18 that I saw. There's also the Batman, Gotham by Gaslight Batman of Earth 19, as well as the Wonder Woman of Amazonia. I believe we're also in the issue. At least identified the Batman. There's all kinds. There's people. There's Captain Adam Strange and his Atomic Knights of Justice from Earth 17. I saw remnants of those. So many things in this issue I absolutely loved. Earth 23 Superman, where he's the President of the United States. That's his name is Calvin Ellis, the Superman and President of the United States of Earth 23. He's there as well. Just great stuff. Earth 26, Captain Carrot and Amazing Zoo Crew. There's the Bizarro Superman and the Injustice League of Un-America of the Bizarro World of Earth 29. They're also in there. There's so many little Easter eggs there, and there's some things I haven't even touched upon. Earth 31, Earth 32. Guys, Google Multiversity and have some fun going through this issue. It's just a blast. I had a blast. I literally, every now and then when I take extra time to read a comic book, sometimes it's not always a good thing, because if I have to read a comic book multiple times to understand it, I get frustrated. But I'll do that if I really want to understand it. This was a joy. I actually wanted to take my time, and I enjoyed going through each page. As a longtime DC reader, I really enjoyed taking my time going through each page and saying, hey, I know that's from Earth this or Earth that. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Now, having said that, we did have a little bit of a movement on a story here. Not much progression of a story in this issue, but because it was such a fun issue, I give this a 9 out of 10 because I love this issue. I thought the art was pretty good, and I just love the multiverse, and I love the Hall of Heroes. So it's right up my alley. So I give it a 9 out of 10 just for that alone. But that's a heavy bias on my part because I'm a huge DC guy, as most of you know. So, but Hawkgirl here, Kendra, is really angry because she can't find John Jones. Martian Manhunter John Jones and Hawkgirl kind of got a little bit of a romantic thing going on, or at least they're going to, because they have their future son that they're going to have, Shane, followed them back from the 6th dimension. Now, she can't locate Shane and she can't locate Martian Manhunter. John Jones, he's just disappeared, and Kendra's really upset. Now, Kendra's taken the lead, and she's kind of like the de facto leader now of the Justice League. And while Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are sort of off in the Hall of Heroes trying to recruit other heroes of the multiverse to fight against Doom and locate the Anti-Monitor and Monitor, the two brothers of the World Forger, Kendra is trying to organize and locate the Legion of Doom headquarters on Earth, because that's the key thing to do. Now, right away, what I found very interesting is I recall from I believe it was issue 1 or 2 of Justice League, that Scott Snyder specifically indicated within the story, of course, that the headquarters of the Legion of Doom is never located at one spot at the same time. It actually, it has technology, I believe, that it exists in different locations at different times. So I don't know how they're going to find the Legion of Doom. So it seems to occupy different spaces at the same time, or different. So I'll have to go back and reread those early issues of Justice League. I think it was in issue 1 or in issue 1 maybe, where so the Legion of Doom headquarters is going to be very, very difficult to find, because remember, the Hall of Justice, everyone knows where the Hall of Justice is, and the Hall of Justice is meant to be open, easily findable, it's embracing, it invites people in, that's the Hall of Justice. But the Legion of Doom is all about deception, it's all about being hidden, it's about never being found, it's about the darkness and your worst fears when you least expect it. That's the Legion of Doom headquarters, that's the embodiment of that. Total opposite of the Hall of Justice. So it's going to be very hard for the Justice Leaguers, I think, to find the Legion of Doom headquarters. But they've got all the best detectives in the world working on it. And there's a lot of great scenes there. There's Black Canary and Hawkman giving hand-to-hand combat training to anyone that would care to try to take them on and learn something. They're really training. This is a massive recruitment drive, basically headed by Kendra Saunders. She's got a lot on her plate. Her and Mera, Queen Mera of Atlantis, she's getting some really good advice from Mera, of course. Mera, of course, is a queen. She knows she's a great leader in her own right, and she tries to empower Kendra, saying, look, you're doing a good job, you got to do what you got to do, but if you're really this upset with John Jones, if you're upset with Martian Manhunter, go and find Martian Manhunter, and I'll take care of things here. And so basically it takes off, and that's what Kendra Saunders does. It ends with her basically leaving to look for Martian Manhunter. Now, where is Martian Manhunter? Martian Manhunter is looking for Lex Luthor. Because remember that Lex Luthor and Martian Manhunter were they were really good friends at one point in their life. Because remember in an earlier issue it was established that when Martian Manhunter was at one point kidnapped from Mars, he was saved from Mars, and he basically met a young Lex Luthor because many years ago, Lionel Luthor, Lex's father, basically experimented on Martian Manhunter because they're trying to basically create that apex predator race, that hybrid race between the Martians and the humans that made up Perpetua's great army was essentially a hybrid race which was broken up and made into human beings and Martians. And basically Lionel Luthor was experimenting on the Martian Manhunter, a young Martian Manhunter, in order to unlock further secrets about the great army of Perpetua, essentially. And of course Lex Luthor saved Martian Manhunter all those years ago, so they have that link. And so Martian Manhunter is looking for Lex Luthor. Perhaps he thinks he can sway him or turn him back. I don't think that's realistic, or at the very least Martian Manhunter at least will try to stop him. And interestingly enough, at the end of this issue, Martian Manhunter doesn't locate Lex Luthor, but surprise, surprise, manages to locate, to his surprise as well, Lionel Luthor. Lionel Luthor shows up. I thought Lionel Luthor was dead, and maybe I shouldn't have thought that. I don't think we ever saw him die, did we? But in any event, Lionel Luthor is still alive, and it's very interesting. Now, what's that mean? Is Lionel Luthor going to be on the side of Doom? Is Lionel Luthor going to end up helping the Justice League? I don't know. We don't know. But man, this is really becoming an epic event. Everything about this feels epic. Scott Snyder confirmed on Twitter that this is an epic event and that this has become an event, and it really feels like an event. And what I love about this, I'm really loving this because it feels epic. It feels like an event. And I had this discussion at one point a couple of nights ago with Engeltine of I Love Comics, so I thank. He invited me on his live stream, and we put together, I helped him nominate different things for his annual Gabby Awards. had the Spirit Awards, which is sort of the best in comics, and I had a really great time, and I made the point there, and we talked about Justice League, about how Justice League really does, it's the feel-good comic of the DC Universe, and it really is leading the way. Doomsday Clock's good, but Doomsday Clock has got too many delays, and as much as I love Doomsday Clock, it's perfectly consistent with Justice League in terms of embracing sort of the Morrison idea of multiversity of the universe. Doomsday Clock issue 10 talked about Earth Designate Zero being the metaverse, that basically the metaverse, whatever happens in the metaverse, as the metaverse changes, as Earth Designate Zero changes, which is the mainstream DC universe that the Justice League events take place in, as changes happen with the Superman mythology on Earth Zero, that metaverse changes the entire multiverse itself. And that's perfectly consistent with this because, of course, we have the heroes of Earth Designate Zero, i.e. the Justice League we know and love, trying to recruit the other heroes of the multiverse of the various Earths to help find that Monitor and Anti-Monitor. Perfectly consistent, and it makes everything is really flowing here. Everything here is coming together, and I'm really enjoying it. And I'd really be curious to know how people who maybe aren't as into the DC Universe as I am, what they might think of this, if they feel it's a little bit too inaccessible, or how they feel about it. I love it, but I'm also, I also live and breathe this stuff because I love it so much. Guys, tell me what you think of Justice League issue 26. I had a blast reading it. I encourage you all to pick it up. Hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter at Metropolis40. And until next time, Comic Boom out.